One of the things we come across quite frequently at VA Partners when working with startups is they're looking to hire their first sales resource. It's a very exciting and a very challenging time for these organizations. And there are 5 big mistakes that we see for startups when they hire their first salesperson. One of the top mistakes we see, startups overvalue someone's industry experience. So as an example, met with a startup recently. He was about to go and offer a job to someone that had tons of industry experience, but they hadn't explained what they wanted them to do, which was be in sales. And so he had totally changed the questions he was going to ask as part of the interview based on our conversation. At the end of the day, he decided he wasn't going to hire that person because they weren't really interested in being in sales. They were interested in being in marketing, and he was going to hire them without really getting to the bottom of what they wanted to do and what the job was. When you're at a startup, sometimes you think, I need sales help, but you don't necessarily know what type of sales help do you need. Do you need a more junior person? Do you need a more senior person? I think you want to understand the capabilities within inside the organization, how complex the sales cycle is, and what cycles are available for the leadership team. Sometimes you need a more junior person to do a bunch of the sales process, the outbound calls, the outbound emails, following up on inbound leads, qualification, and then you can bring a subject matter expert in to help explain the solution or some of the additional complexity of the solution. So a lot of times organizations, they get it wrong. They hire someone too junior and expect them to be senior, or they hire someone too senior and expect them to do a lot of the day-to-day efforts. And again, a lot of this gets back to expectations. So understand the role you're hiring for and make sure you have that built into your candidate search as well as your interview questions. I talked a little bit about setting expectations. Expectations is a huge thing about success in a relationship, in sales, in an organization, and also outside. And one of the things I think organizations need to understand is setting the expectations, and don't be afraid to get too granular. We're expecting these type of outbound activities. We're expecting you to go to networking events. We're expecting you to travel for work. We're expecting you to use the CRM, not use whatever you want. So setting the expectations upfront is part of the interview process, and also setting expectations that relate to compensation and the onboarding is really important for organizations. And I think a lot of times they just assume that the expectations are understood and they don't get granular enough. And I think that's a big mistake that startups often make with their first sales hire. If you're in technology, anywhere in North America, essentially, it's hard to find great people. So if you interview and go through the process and get a really great candidate, it always amazes me how little effort is spent on onboarding that individual. It's really important for your organization from a sales hire for 2 big reasons. One is you want to get that person up and going as quickly as possible, being as effective as possible, so it helps you to generate revenue as quickly as possible. Number 2 is that if you have an employee, you want them to feel welcome, to feel valued. And if you're not ready for them, if you don't have a place for them to sit, if you don't have a plan for them, if they're twiddling their thumbs, if they're not ready and you don't have a strategy to get them up and going as quickly as possible, they're not going to have a great positive first impression of your organization or ongoing. So if they have a happy employee that's doing the right things and they're the right candidate, then you should be successful. So make sure you spend time on the onboarding process, on the onboarding tasks, and take time to get your new sales employees up and going effectively and quickly. If you're getting started with your first sales hire and you need someone to talk to, email me, melliott@vapartners.ca, and I'll have a quick conversation with you and give you some information. And we also have a great white paper on growing your sales team that's available. So I hope you've enjoyed the video and the blog, and good luck selling.